Good morning, class. We are still in chapter 4, and today we're going to discuss the sixth mode of extinguishing an obligation, and that is novation. To refresh your memory, we're done with the first mode, which is payment or performance, the second mode, which is loss of the thing due, the third, which is condonation or remission of debt, number 4 is the confusion or merger of rights, number 5, compensation, and 6, novation. The chapter ends with novation because all the rest, no, itong mga annulment, rescission, fulfillment of the resolutory condition, and prescription are governed elsewhere by this code. But for chapter 4, then we end with novation. Okay? So what is novation? Now, there are times wherein parties come into an agreement, but eventually they want to change some of the things, no, some of the provisions of the contract that they have entered into. We call that one novation. Amendment is in essence novation. Okay, so the discussion in section 6 starts with Article 1291. 1291 states that obligation may be modified by number 1, changing the object or the principal condition. We call this real novation. Number 2, substituting the person of the debtor. We call this personal novation, and subrogating the third person the rights of the creditor. Take note that when you say substitute, no, when you change the debtor, you substitute the debtor. But when you change the creditor, as when a third person is named for and on behalf of the creditor, we call that one subrogation. Okay, so there are three ways to novate. One is you may change the object or the principal condition. That is real novation. No? Or you may substitute the person of the debtor. Substitute the person of the debtor. A, dati ang nakautang, i-substitute mo kay B. Or you may subrogate a third person in the rights of the creditor. Kung creditor ang papalitan, it's subrogation. Pag debtor ang papalitan, it's substitution. So you have to take note of that. No? Now, what is novation? Novation is the extinguishment of an obligation by substitution or change of the obligation by a subsequent one, which extinguish or modifies the first. No? Extinguish or modifies the first. Ibig sabihin, there is an existing obligation, you are going to change or modify it, then there is novation. Sir, naririnig namin yung amendment. Amendment is novation. Na? Either by changing the object or the principal condition, or substituting another in place of a debtor, or subrogating a third person in the rights of the creditor. The following are the requisites, class. You have to take note of this. No? In order for novation to ensue, number 1, there should be a previously valid obligation. Ibig sabihin, there is an obligation and you just want to change the terms and condition. Number 2, there must be an agreement by the parties concerning the new contract. Number 3, the old contract is extinguished. And number 4, there must be a validity of the new contract. So these are the requisites. Previous obligation, parties agree to change the terms, the conditions, or they may substitute the debtor, or they may subrogate the creditor. Okay, that is the first. Second is that parties agree na babaguhin natin ang kontrata. No? Then, because of that agreement, the old contract was extinguished and the new one was created. Okay, nakakuha ninyo, class, na nasusundan ninyo. So, if you are going to change the object, what do you call that one? Real substitution. No? Real substitution. But if you're going to change the debtor, you call that one substitution. When you're going to change the creditor, then you call that one subrogation. Okay? Clear tayo, ha? So, you just read some of the provisions on novation. No? I'd like to focus on the personal novation. Now, when you say personal novation, what do you mean? Changing the debtor or the creditor. If you're going to change the debtor, you call that one substitution. No? There are two types of substitution. No? What are these two kinds of substitution? You have expromission, no? Expromission, and you have delegation. Okay. What is the difference? No? In expromission, a third party offers, no? Sabi niya ganun, A, may utang kay B. A is the debtor, B is the creditor. Then a third person comes, X, sabi niya ganun, B, ako na ang magbabayad ng utang ni A. Okay? So sabi niya ganun, ako na ang magbabayad sa utang ni A. So what is the effect? No? If the initiative for change does not come from the debtor and may even be made without his knowledge. So si X lumapit kay B, pwedeng hindi alam ni A. No? Since the third person would substitute the original debtor and assume the obligation, his consent and that of the creditor would be required. No? So ibig sabihin, if a third person comes in and tells B, ako ang magbabayad sa utang ni A, it is necessary that the consent of A should be obtained in order for the contract for the expromission to be valid between X, yung pakialamero, the third party who volunteers to pay the obligation of A to B. So, kailangan ng consent ni A. That is expromission. Next, we have the delegation. Now, what is this delegation? Yung si A mismo nagsabi kay B, no? Sinabi niya mismo kay B na, B, ito si X, willing siya magbayad ng utang ko sa'yo. No? So, tatanggapin mo ba? Parang ganyan. No? It's the debtor who offers. So, you call that one delegation. Okay? So, what are the two types of substitution? When you say substitution, change in the personality of the debtor. You have expromission and delegation. In expromission, the initiative came from a third party. Sasabihin niya doon sa creditor, ako na ang magbabayad ng utang ni debtor. In that case, there is a necessity that the consent of the debtor will be acquired, no, in order for the expromission to be valid. Samantalang dito sa delegation, which is another type of substitution, yung debtor mismo, sabi niya sa creditor, uy, nandito si X ba? Willing siya magbayad ng utang ko sa'yo. Okay? So in that case, the initiative came from the debtor. Okay? Clear tayo ha? Kung ano ang expromission at saka ang delegasyon. Okay, now, what is the effect? Just in case yung third party hindi nagbayad, no? Or yung third party pala na nag-volunteer is insolvent. Okay? So this is the effect. In expromission, no? In what is expromission again? In expromission is the third party who volunteers, no? And it's accepted by the creditor and the debtor. In expromission, if it turns out na atik-atik lang pala yung third party na pumunta, no, hindi pala siya magbabayad, no? In that case, will the debtor still be liable to the creditor pag hindi binayaran ni third party sa expromission si creditor? The answer is no more, no? No more kasi tinanggap siya ni creditor. Samantalang sa delegation class, it's different, no? Kasi ang debtor mismo ang nag-volunteer dun sa third person kay creditor na si third person ang magbabayad ng utang niya. In case na insolvent si third party or hindi nagbayad si third person, pwedeng maningil pa rin si creditor from the original debtor. Okay? That is the one of the major difference between expromission and delegation. Okay? Clear tayo dyan? Now, ito man lang siguro. Okay. So, delegation when there is a substitution on the part of the debtor. Now, if there is substitution on the part of the creditor, no, you have part of the creditor, you call it subrogation. No? Subrogation comes in two forms. It could be conventional subrogation and it could be legal subrogation. Now, what is conventional subrogation? If the parties agree, sila na mismo ang nagsabot na papalitan ang creditor, no? Conventional subrogation of a third person requires the consent of the original parties and of the third person. So, sabihin ni creditor kay debtor, yung ibabayad mo sa akin, ibabayad mo na kay X. Siya na ang bagong creditor. And all of the parties agreed, no? In that case, there is a conventional subrogation. So, what is this legal subrogation? That is covered by 1302. Dalawang klase ng subrogation class ha. You have conventional based on agreement. By the way, what is when you say subrogation? It is the substitution on the part of the creditor. Dalawang klase yan siya. It's conventional when parties agree and the second one is legal. Legal subrogation is covered by 1302. What does 1302 say? It is presumed that there is legal subrogation when 1. when the creditor pays another debtor who is preferred even without the consent of or without the consent or knowledge of the debtor. Let us say si debtor may utang kay creditor A, no? Tapos si creditor B, no? Creditor A is preferred kaysa sa creditor B, no? So ang ginawa ni B, binayaran niya si A para ang utang na lang ng debtor, siya na lang ang magbabayad, okay? Paano nangyayari ito? There is an assumption of legal subrogation when kasi may mga preferences of credit tayo, no? Let us say si X niloan niya ang property niya kay A, okay? Eventually, niloan niya din ang property niya kay B. Who has the superior right? Si A kasi siya ang first na pinagkautangan ni A, no? Pinagkautangan ni A. Pero sabi ni B, interesado ako masyado sa property, therefore babayaran kita kung magkano ang inutang ni debtor. Para ang transaction would be simpler, it would be between me and the debtor. So that will simplify the issue, no? So when the creditor pays another creditor who is preferred with or without the knowledge of the debtor. Or number 2, when a third person not interested in the obligation pays with the express and tacit approval of the debtor. So, parehas sabihin niya na, sige, may utang, nangyayari ito sa mga credit cards, di ba? Halimbawa, may utang ka sa ganitong credit card, no? Tapos hindi mo na mabayaran, binabuy out ng isang credit card, no? That yung utang mo sa first credit card, iba-buy out ng second credit card, in essence, there is legal subrogation. Take note of those class, na? So that covers chapter 4. Chapter 4 is novation. Let me refresh your memory. When you say novation, no, for the purpose of emphasis, when you say novation is changing the object or the principal conditions, or it could also be substitution of the debtor, or it could also be subrogation of the creditor. If it is substitution of the debtor, if the third party volunteers to pay the debt of the debtor, no, and the creditor accepts the same, you call that one expromission, no? Expromission. But if, let us say, the debtor himself, no, in his own volition, he goes to the creditor and says, this is my friend, third party, he will pay for and on my behalf, no? In that case, that is delegation. What is the effect in expromission, no? Pag nalugi or hindi nagbayad yung third party expromission, the creditor could no longer collect from the original debtor. While in delegation, the creditor can still collect from the original debtor. That is for substitution. For subrogation, no? For subrogation, you have the conventional when parties agree that the person of the creditor will be substituted, no? Or you have legal, as in the case that I have mentioned in article, no? In article, where is that? In article 1302. Okay, so that will be all for chapter 4, class. Medyo mahaba yung chapter 4, no? So, you take note of the things that we have discussed. Next meeting, we'll start with a new module, and that is module on contracts. Have a very good day, class. Good morning.